Islands are cute little havens, surrounded by water with beautiful landscapes and greenery, sometimes flaunting kaleidoscopic fauna, sometimes mesmerizing with their quiet and peace, thinking, what can be strange about them? Well, you can't be more wrong. There are many strange islands of the world that will make you question your idea of the picture-perfect islands, from islands that look like battleships to islands with ginormous volcanoes. Let's start off with Number 5, Sane Manuriki. There are plenty of uninhabited islands in our world, but few are as iconic as Manuriki, the setting for Tom Hanks' Cast Away. Resting off Viti Levu in Fiji, this small volcanic island flaunts lagoons, palm groves, pine forests, rocky ridges, and pristine white beaches. Its western history began on April 28, 1789, when Captain William Bligh, after the HMS Bounty mutiny, first recorded sighting the cluster of 20 islands. Bligh's open-boat voyage made him the first European to pass through the region, later christened Bligh Water in his honor. Despite this, Manuriki remained relatively obscure until World War II, when the U.S. established a communications outpost there. Decades later, Hollywood transformed it into Robinson Crusoe's playground. Since then, Manuriki has been branded Castaway Island, drawing tourists from across the world. While day trips are encouraged, no one has ever permanently settled here. The land still stands largely untouched, untamed wilderness wrapped in cinematic legend, where a volleyball named Wilson once stole the show, and we wish it stays just like it is today. Number 14, Joko Island. Joko Island is an uninhabited isle in East Timor composed of limestone, with towering coral cliffs and surrounding reefs. Its thick forest makes it part of Nino Conis Santana National Park. While locals accommodate tourists for day trips or camping, there are no permanent residents since the land is regarded as sacred. Tradition claims the beach and channel mark where the Timor Sea, the Men's Sea, meets the Banda Sea, the Women's Sea, including Wetar Strait to the north and Timor to the south. Birdlife includes bar-necked cuckoo doves, black cuckoo doves, pink-headed imperial pigeons, fawn-breasted whistlers, blue-cheeked flowerpeckers, flame-breasted sunbirds, and Timor sparrows. Rare species, such as the great cuckoo dove and the curiously named Orpheus fathead, also reside here. Javan rusa deer live on the island, adapted to drinking seawater due to the lack of fresh water, with around 80 counted in 2019. Sea turtles use the southeastern beaches for nesting. Ancient fortifications at Lai Pet and Honati remain, while a 35-meter Indonesian-era lighthouse, closed in 2010, was dismantled afterward. Number 3, Okunoshima Island. Japan gave us Planet of the Apes, but what about the Island of Rabbits? Just 3 kilometers off its coast is Okunoshima, crawling with tons of bunnies that never even belonged here naturally. So how did they arrive? The truth remains hazy. What's certain is that from 1929 to 1945, the island hosted a secret chemical weapons plant producing poison gas for the Imperial Army. One account claims Allied forces dismantled the site and freed the lab rabbits, sparking the explosion in population. Another insists that school kids released them in 1971. Whatever the origin, Okunoshima opened to tourism in the 1960s, and viral clips of the long-eared residents sent visitors surging. At its height, the plant manufactured over 6 kilotons of mustard and tear gas. Despite Japan having signed the 1925 Geneva Protocol banning use, though not storage or development, of chemical weapons, the government erased the island from maps to hide its operations. Today, dogs and cats are banned, hunting is forbidden, and the rabbits live in peace. Number 12, Aldabra. Aldabra is one of the outer islands of the Seychelles, more than 700 miles from Mahé, the largest island in the archipelago, and lies closer to the African coastline. It's the world's second largest atoll, after Kiribati. Due to its remoteness and isolation, Aldabra has remained nearly untouched by humans, preserving a population of over 152,000 giant tortoises, the planet's largest concentration of this species. These tortoises are among the longest living animals globally, often exceeding a century in age. The atoll is also home to coconut crabs, the world's largest land crabs, alongside hammerhead sharks, manta rays, barracuda, and nesting sites for green and hawksbill turtles. Originally named by Arab sailors for its harsh conditions, Aldabra later became a French colonial outpost. After British control, it faced potential militarization in the 1960s, but international protests led to its protection. Known for its vast raised coral reef and lagoon, Aldabra was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1982. Conservation continues, despite challenges like invasive species and plastic debris. Number 1's Cocos Island. Cocos Island lies roughly 300 miles off Costa Rica's Pacific coast. This rainforest-covered island is largely uninhabited, with tourists only permitted ashore under supervision by Costa Rican park rangers, who happen to be the only people allowed permanent residence. Treasure hunters frequently visit, as numerous 19th century pirate hordes are rumored to be buried there. Cocos Island has been a Costa Rican national park since 1978. Surrounded by deep, turbulent waters, it's a favorite among scuba divers thanks to its rich marine life, including hammerhead sharks, rays, dolphins, and other large sea creatures. The humid climate gives it a unique ecological profile, distinct even from the Galapagos. In 1997, Cocos Island National Park became a UNESCO World Heritage Site and was shortlisted in 2009 for the new 7 Wonders of Nature, ranking second in the island category. If you're into diving or hunting for lost riches, this is a must-see. Just brace yourself. Reaching it takes a 36 to 48-hour boat trip. Number 10. Antipodes Islands. The Antipodes Islands, bleak volcanic outcrops adrift in subantarctic waters south of New Zealand, are as hostile as they come. Bitter winds and freezing seas ensured no human settlement, yet countless shipwrecked sailors once battled for survival there. As late as 1999, 2 perished after the Spirit of the Dawn ran aground. In 1893, 11 survivors endured 87 harrowing days by eating raw mutton birds, shellfish, and roots, eventually signaling a steamer with a makeshift sail flag. Ironically, a stocked castaway depot sat on the opposite coast, but their frail condition and treacherous mountains made it unreachable. In 1908, another wreck, the President Felix Faure, stranded its crew in Anchorage Bay. They relied on that very depot until HMS Pegasus rescued them 60 days later. These islands gained yet more attention in 1955 when Britain, seeking isolated test grounds for thermonuclear weapons, considered them alongside Antarctica and other remote southern sites. Today, the Antipodes remain infamous for shipwreck tragedies and forbidding wilderness. So, if you love thrills in life, it's a pretty cool place. Number 9. Fort Carroll Island. In 1847, the U.S. military constructed Fort Carroll in the middle of the Patapsco River to defend Baltimore, Maryland. The location was chosen after prior experience showed that forts placed too close to cities often created more danger than defense. This man-made island was designed under the supervision of a young Robert E. Lee, who also drafted its hexagonal structure. Still, the fort remained incomplete when the Civil War began, halting construction. By the war's end, it was deemed obsolete. Though later upgraded, it saw little use during the Spanish-American War and was entirely abandoned by 1921. Several ideas were floated for its reuse, including a prison, and in 1923, a proposal by Baltimore Mayor William Browning to erect a Welcome to Baltimore sign and Lord Baltimore statue. During World War II, the fort briefly served as a firing range and checkpoint. In 1958, attorney Benjamin Eisenberg bought the island for $10,000 with plans for a casino, which never happened. Today, it's abandoned and home only to wildlife. Number 8. Clipperton Island. Clipperton Island is a coral atoll located south of Mexico and west of Guatemala in the eastern Pacific. French merchant explorers documented it in 1711, and it was formally claimed as part of the French Protectorate of Tahiti in 1858. However, American guano miners began exploiting it in the 1890s. As interest rose, Mexico asserted control, citing Spanish records from the 1520s that may have described the island. In 1905, Mexico established a small military colony, but during the Mexican Revolution contact grew rare, most colonists perished, and lighthouse keeper Victoriano Alvarez imposed a brief, violent reign as king. 11 survivors were rescued in 1917, and Clipperton was abandoned. It remained empty until 1944, when the U.S. Navy set up a weather station. France protested, and after Japanese threats declined, the Americans withdrew in late 1945. Since then, Clipperton has hosted scientific expeditions, climate researchers, and amateur radio teams. Development for trade or tourism has been proposed but never realized. Number 7. Ball Sits Pyramid. Ball's Pyramid, besides having a legendary name, is the leftover spine of a volcano that erupted roughly 7 million years ago. It stands 562 meters tall, a jagged rock stack located 13 miles southeast of Lord Howe Island in the Pacific, forming part of Australia's Lord Howe Island Marine Park. Surrounded by unpredictable seas and sitting squarely on a submarine shelf, access is extremely difficult. Named after Royal Navy Lieutenant Henry Ball, who sighted it in 1788 during the same voyage where he discovered Lord Howe Island, Ball's Pyramid wasn't stepped on until geologist Henry Wilkinson landed in 1882. Nearby are tiny satellite islets like Observatory Rock and Wheatsheaf Islet. The underwater cliffs stretch down to the ocean shelf, which spans 20 kilometers long and 10 kilometers wide, averaging 50 meters deep. The peak was first climbed in 1965. A year earlier, climbers rediscovered the Lord Howe Island stick insect, once thought extinct, with fewer than 30 alive. As of 2025, climbing is now strictly regulated. Number 6. Palmyra Atoll. Well, now this place is heaven. Palmyra Atoll lies 1,000 miles south of Hawaii and is a U.S. territory. Despite this, it's unorganized and officially uninhabited. The U.S. military built an airstrip during World War II, now abandoned. Currently, the atoll is managed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, except for Cooper Island, which is owned and operated by the Nature Conservancy. It's the second northernmost of the Line Islands, and one of 3 U.S.-owned islands in the chain, along with Jarvis Island and Kingman Reef. Palmyra is part of the Pacific Remote Islands Marine National Monument, the world's largest marine protected area. The atoll features 3 lagoons, coral reefs, and over 150 species of coral, double that of Hawaii. Though no one lives here full-time, 4 to 25 scientists and staff rotate through on assignment. Palmyra was also the site of a 1974 double murder that inspired the book and miniseries, And the Sea Will Tell. Eleanor Graham's remains were discovered, her husband's were not. Number 5. North Brother Island. North Brother Island is located in New York City's East River, and this island is off limits to the public as a protected bird sanctuary. But who knows the truth? Its past, however, is notable. Riverside Hospital opened a quarantine facility for smallpox patients on the 20-acre island in 1885. Later, it housed people with other infectious diseases such as venereal illness and typhoid. Here, Typhoid Mary, real name Mary Mallon, lived for 2 decades until her death in 1938 after a stroke in 1932 left her confined. Researchers estimate she infected at least 122 people, including 5 fatalities. The island was also the site of the General Slocum disaster in 1904, when a steamship fire killed 1,021 passengers through burning or drowning. The hospital closed in 1942, later serving as veterans housing, and then a rehabilitation center until corruption forced its closure in 1963. Today it remains abandoned, with decaying hospital buildings among colonies of herons and shorebirds said to be haunted by those who once suffered there. Number 4. Mu Ko Ang Thong. Mu Ko Ang Thong is a breathtaking archipelago of around 40 islands in the Gulf of Thailand. Ang Thong translates to bowl of gold, while Mu Ko simply means group of islands. Most of the limestone islands are blanketed in tropical forest and rise sharply from the ocean as jagged cliffs and surreal rock shapes. Every island is formed from limestone mountains ranging between 10 and 400 meters above sea level. Since limestone easily erodes through chemical weathering, the islands have developed strange caves and towering cliffs over time. Some even resemble Angkor Wat in Cambodia or Prasat Hin Phi Mai in Thailand. Although they vary in size and shape, most are named after their geographic features. Descriptive titles like Sleeping Cow Island and Three Pillars Island all remain uninhabited and mostly untouched, except for one iconic appearance in The Beach, directed by Danny Boyle and starring Leonardo DiCaprio. If you're curious how surreal the landscape is, that film shows it well. Number 3, Lazaretto Nuovo. We've reached the number 3 spot, and why this island takes the crown is clear. Lazaretto Nuovo might be the only uninhabited island linked to vampires. We mean like for real. Located at the entrance of Venice's lagoon, it began as a medieval monastery. In 1468, this island was repurposed as a quarantine zone to shield Venice from plague outbreaks. Quarantines continued into the 18th century, after which the island became a military base. The Italian army left in 1975, and the island fell into decay until a restoration effort began in 2005. Owned by the city and overseen by the Ministry of Culture, Lazaretto Nuovo has been leased to the Archeo Club of Venice since 1977. They've hosted archaeological summer camps since 1988. For over 4 decades, this group has pushed to reopen the site to the public and raised millions in funding. Their efforts paid off. Lazaretto Nuovo now opens from April to October and serves as a museum and archaeological storage site for the Venetian lagoon. Alright, now let's end this with number 2, Tetapare Island. Tetapare Island, part of the Solomon Islands, is the largest uninhabited island in the South Pacific. Long, wild, and blanketed in untouched lowland rainforest, it's fringed by coral reefs. The original inhabitants lived in scattered villages and belonged to what seems to have been a unique ethnic group. They spoke the Tetapare language and followed distinct customs, though most of what we know is fragmentary. Like nearby populations on Rendova and New Georgia, they practiced swidden agriculture and at times headhunting. The island was abandoned in the mid-1800s. Later, descendants formed an association to protect Tetapare, preserving it in its original condition while allowing ecotourism. Over 3,000 descendants have joined the TDA, making it one of the largest landowning groups in the Solomon Islands. Tetapare supports a rich inshore marine ecosystem identified as a hotspot for biodiversity. Its name may mean wild pig or fighting boar, as the island was well known for these animals among neighboring communities. Number 1, Battleship Island. Hashima Island, one of 505 uninhabited islets in Nagasaki Prefecture, is commonly called Battleship Island for its shape. Its most striking features are the abandoned concrete buildings and the encircling seawall. While it symbolizes Japan's rapid industrial growth, it also recalls forced labor before and during World War II. Known for its undersea coal mines established in 1887, the 16-acre island reached a population peak of about 5,200 in 1959. When coal reserves neared depletion, the mine closed in 1974, and residents departed soon after. Interest returned in the 2000s due to its untouched ruins, and travel to Hashima reopened on April 22, 2009. Growing attention led to efforts for its preservation as an industrial heritage site. After long controversy, the coal mine was formally approved in July 2015 as part of UNESCO's Sites of Japan's Meiji Industrial Revolution. Today, Battleship Island stands as both a tourist destination and a reminder of darker wartime history. Well, we really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you soon in the next one.